it is my pleasure to welcome you to this webinar organized by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell of this college. The theme of this webinar is very interesting indeed, the role of teachers in institution building. An institution is obviously a multidimensional entity composed of different stakeholders having different roles assigned to them. The teachers undoubtedly play a very significant role in the functioning of any educational institution. The idea of any educational institution is actually conceived in the minds of the teachers and manifested in the functioning of the institution. You know how Professor Borun De, a historian by profession, played a key role as an institution builder in the development of the Center for Studies in Social Science, Kolkata, as well as the Maulana Abul Kalam Azad Institute for Asian Studies. As I belong to the discipline of history, I cited the example of Professor Borun De. There are so many teachers from diverse disciplines in our country and abroad who single-handedly gave birth to a number of institutions and worked for the development of the existing institutions where they had attached with. There is no dearth of examples of the visionary teachers around us who may be truly called as institution builders. We are fortunate to have some of them with us as speakers of this webinar who will share their huge experiences with us. I would like to welcome our distinguished speakers as well as the participants of this webinar from different parts of the state and other parts of the country. I hope all the participants will be benefited from the discussions and will be motivated to take part in the process of institution building in their respective workplace. Thank you very much.
Thank you for setting the mood of the day with your kind words, sir. We just hope that we would be able to honor your wishes and your expectations from us in this webinar. I would now request our respected coordinator, Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Deshobandhu Mahavidyalaya Chittaranjan, Professor Apurva Kumar Roy, to grace us with a few words on our objectives for this webinar. Professor Roy, if you please, sir. Sir, you need to unmute yourself.
It's a great pleasure and privilege for me to introduce Professor Idal Mitru Sir, my teacher in the Department of Law, Bardhaman University. I feel that it's a great opportunity for all of us to listen from Sir, and that we were used to have during our student days in Bardhaman University. Just I cannot forget that. None can forget that the way he was used to provoke, the way he was used to keep whatever we have within us manifested in a particular way. And I don't want to, as I said, take much time. Only thing that I want to tell this to all of before the all of audience, all of you, that sir was it was a nice teacher, it was an extraordinary teacher to all of us. We just cannot forget that. And leaving Bardhaman University, he had joined National Law University, Bangalore, where he was the Vice Chancellor, and he was also founder Vice Chancellor of National Law University, Jodhpur. Besides that, he was also associated with Bar Council and all other bodies of national importance. And during my stay in IIT Kharagpur, I came to know from one lady who was their teacher, who was teaching there, that said that was also established by you, sir. So it's a great for all of us to listen from you. Now, without taking much time, I request you to present before the audience your valuable lecture, so which can definitely enlighten us, which will provoke all of us to to deliver in our role as a teacher in our institution buildings. Thank you, sir. Thank you again for giving this opportunity to listen you. Thank you, sir.
Shravani is now out.
No, sir, I'm in, but I have just, I'm trying to take myself off the space so that it can be all you right now.
So shall I start?
Yes, please, sir.
What to start? I will divide. Now, first thing is that I do not know how to lecture. That's one of my disqualifications. I do not set a platform for a lecture. I set a platform for a discussion. I set a platform for learning and unlearning. I set a platform for teaching and learning. I try to set a platform for descendation and ascendation as a teacher. So these are my attributes, and I really do not know how to deliver a lecture because I seldom go to deliver a lecture. I set the platform for discussion. Now in that process, I first start issue on Chittaranjan. Now Chittaranjan is one end of Bardhaman district, and you know, new education policy says that one of the attribute of new education policy particularly now refers to your principal and all other teachers. Now, your affiliation system shall go. There shall be no affiliation system. Of course, now India having a wide range of affiliations, vast institutions of affiliation. Now, in order to wind up that business of affiliation, a lot of time would be required. I think some time would be required. But you can lessen your time, because only by abolition, I don't of course think that by abolition itself will be panacea for learning, but I also think that without abolition of this, this affiliation system, nothing can be done. Because the first quality of a teacher is that teacher must be autonomous. Now, one thing, Sharbani, you all are out. So I can see justly some roses, some symbol, some flower. Now I cannot talk with them. I now can see Apurva. Can I see a whole lot of faces in front of me? Because I see you through your eyes. A teacher, if a teacher cannot see the eyes of the students and inspire, Shravani, you must have seen me, how I energize my students, right? So if you are invisible to me and you are some few roses, though of course roses are good, then to whom I will raise issues. Now my first issue is therefore, how are you as a teacher of Chittaranjan will be wanting that in next 4 or 5 years, you have to wind up your relation with the university as an affiliated university, and you will be a university. Because that's the first need. Now, if I have done, I must have established in India now a dozen of universities. Some of them are doing very good. Like National Law School is world ranking, Jodhpur is world ranking. Like say KIT, in spite of being it is a private university, it is being now in the top 20. So if you understand that when we talk about that, when we establish some universities, we expect that how you can become university unless you are universe. And the universe quality is a quality of a teacher. A teacher can make students local or universe. Knowledge local or knowledge universe. Without a teacher, a knowledge remains only local. It cannot become universe. Okay, so I will take the first lesson from Sri Aurobindo when he says that a teacher must see, he must descend himself, descend step by step to the marginal student of the class, the last boy of the last bench. He has to descend his intellectual capacity in that ladder to that particular person and gradually then ascend with him. Gradually then ascend with him step by step. Now, Paulo Ferri, you must have seen the Paulo Ferri's book, small book. Have you seen Paulo Ferri's book? Principal Shah must have seen Paulo Ferri's small book, A Pregnant of Thought, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. If you see Paulo Ferri has said the methodology of teaching learning in a traditional university like us, where we have a kind of disempowerment more than empowerment. There it is, the system called banking education. Teacher going to the class thinks that I know everything. My students do not know anything. So teacher then go to the class and tries to put his knowledge. He opens the brain, if there is any. He opened it of the students, a kind of a locker, and put his knowledge into that locker and closes it and thinks that his job is done. This is not what is education. Therefore, affiliating system has done this bad thing. We call it disempowerment process. Affiliation system has set in this disempowerment process because at that time, teachers were only a few. Even now also teachers are few, but only a few teachers, and the technology was not known. Today you have technology with you, therefore teachers are not that backward that they cannot become autonomous. Unless you become autonomous, you cannot become university. So from today itself, all of you have to start thinking that you have to be autonomous. What does it mean? I will come to that. Because our target is that by 4 years, Chittaranjan shall become a university. It will be a coalition university. It will be a few affiliated colleges together having a multiplicity of or multidisciplinary system to develop into one university. So if you are a university, then you have the power of autonomy. Teachers' autonomy is extremely needed. If I have tried to do anything, now Sravani must be knowing, I make the teachers autonomous. I tell them, why you want to learn this? I go to the class and say, why this subject? Why not other subjects? Why you learn this at all? Why should I read history? Why should I read sociology? Why should I read political science? Why should I read law? I must be sure that whatever I am studying, I am learning. So to make this learning system operative in our brain, we call it cognitive process. Cognitive domain has to start. And this cognitive domain starts with raising issues and questions. And questions and issues are coming from society. Say, for example, there are many issues now. As I see newspaper from West Bengal, these and that. After election, people are fighting. People are killing some other people, isn't it? Fighting. Why? The sociologists have to inquire about it. If you have a sociology subject in your college, that sociologists have to start this, question that why it is happening, what is the paradigm, how the paradigm shift has to be made, and paradigm shifting can be made only through education, education, and education. Nothing else. If there is, when I was in Burdwan, I found so many waves of student indiscipline. And I asked myself, why indiscipline? Why it is so? I found that they do not, if I am learning something from the university and I cannot apply that, I am unemployed. Unemployed, unemployable. I am unemployed. For how long I will be historian? I have learned history. Now, unless you are using my force, my creativity, I will be degenerating myself. I will be disempowered. So our whole system is disempowerment system. This national education policy, in a very short span, raised these issues, pointed out those issues, flagged those issues, and explained the present paradigm, ecosystem, and tried to make that new ecosystem, and in the center of that, it says the center is autonomy of a teacher. Now, what does it mean, autonomy of a teacher? What shall I mean, autonomy? When I say autonomy of a teacher has to design the curriculum. I have to design whatever I am going to teach. Somebody in the university will not dictate me that you go and teach this in the class. Will not. Because I know that if I have to have, say if I am a student of history you can see from many angles. We have a history from the angle of legal institutions, history of governance, history of the parliament, history of legislative system, okay? History of governance, history of legislative system, history of judiciary. Is not history only history of the king and queen. That history is no history. History of the people, history of civilization. So when we read history, we read this and we design ourselves. Which history I like to read? Which history you will read? Now in your history, if there is no history of industrialization sitting in Chittaranjan or history of Indian railways, you do not study, your students do not study, they are unconnected with the reality of life. So your syllabus is unconnected with the reality of life because somebody in distant place preparing some history syllabus and throwing it on you and say, go and teach this in the class like this. You go and give a lecture. This will not do. So from now on, you have to think how you will attain this autonomy. I have requested your Vice Chancellor that kindly liberate your affiliated colleges, liberate them, make their own syllabus, teachers making their own syllabus. Then the teacher will ask the student, what do you want to learn? Why you have taken this history? Are you good in this? Are you good in that? Now then, what type of history you will learn. History can be many things. One day I wanted history. You see, government of India at some point of time wanted me to frame a law for abolition of lottery, public lottery. They wanted to abolish public lottery. So I was called to Delhi and I had a meeting with the then our Home Minister. Home Minister was then Advani ji. He in his chamber talked to me in details about in half an hour. So I asked, why you want to abolish public charity, public lottery? So we distinguish between public charity and public lottery now. And then I had to go to history of that public lottery and I found that in 3rd century in Rome, for making the town planning, the first public lottery was organized by the state. See that? Because everything has got a history. History gives you what and why. If I do not know the history, I do not know the what and why. Today, if I have to abolish, you do not know how to do it. And I came to the conclusion that it is not time for abolition of public lottery at this present time. Okay? So you can see that everything is needed. If I just go to Supreme Court, I have to know the history of the Supreme Court of India. And if I read history of the Supreme Court of India, I may go to the history of the highest judiciary in India during Mughal's period, during, say, Akbar, during even Ashoka. I have to go over there also. What was the judicial system at that time? What was the apex body of the judicial process? Now, everything has got the history. If I cannot demystify the history, I do not like to read the history. History is not mystification. History is not incident of kings and queens and their schedules of dates and years. It is not. It is not only war. War dehumanizes. History of humanization is also there. So what are those history? Why should we take Akbar is a better ruler than Aurangzeb? Is it because of the war? Is it because of the religious war? Is it because of taxation? Now, if it is taxation, I require history of taxation. Say, for example, I do not know, your economist must not be here, but if every economist is worth the salt, he will ask, why taxation at all? Why income tax at all? Why income tax? Why not expenditure tax? And we all pay expenditure tax. Why not one expenditure tax? No income tax, expenditure tax. There are countries where you have expenditure tax without income tax. Now I have to read history of taxation, canons of taxation, economics of taxation, canons of taxation, efficiency of taxation, efficacy of taxation. Now all this will take me to design my course. If your student want to know what they want to know, you have to ask them. And in your class, if you ask this question, why you want to learn history or sociology or economics or this or that, they will tell you. So the first thing that a teacher has to be autonomous. And if you cannot make teacher autonomous, forget any quality assurance. We are all elixir. Elixir, you know that, in our younger days, we did not have so many tablets. So you go to Shailen Mukherjee, he will, in his compound, compounder will put everything in that one bottle and then put some water or some sweetened water and then shake and they say, go and take it. So we are only giving elixir. Even shaking is also not there. Shaking is also not there. People reading economics and history, they do not know why economics and history are we reading. What are the economic instruments? Do they have history? So that's why we come to all this. Now, autonomy is needed. If there is autonomy, then one thing is that design your course. That's the first autonomy. Design your course. And when you design your course, then you have to also be multidisciplinary in your course. Now, if you think that I have history in the entire head, I have only economics in my head, I have only sociology in my head, it's absolutely nonsensical. We all live in a society, in a family, in a pada, in a shamiti, in the village, then a panchayat. We all live in a system of the social progression. And therefore we face problem. Problem doesn't come and say, well, look, Professor Mitra, this is the problem in economics. Can you solve this? This is the problem in history. Can you solve this? It doesn't say that. So it is all this issue-based, your society-based learning system. If society-based learning system is not there, then what am I learning? For whom I am learning? What my learning will do? Now that's why, a lot of things are to be needed in the new education policy. So first is that your institution in 4, 5, 6 years must try to coagulate with similar institutions nearby and make a kind of a compound system with multidisciplinary units in one body, multidisciplinary units, and will be giving a degree certificate, and will be giving a status of a university. No longer you will be affiliated. Affiliation must go. My first issue, therefore, is autonomy of the teachers. If you do not give the autonomy of the teachers, we will remain in affiliation because we are all disempowered. If I ask you, prepare your syllabus, you will know, how do I prepare my syllabus? How do I make my curriculum? If I say multidisciplinary, what does it mean? History and economics together. Is there any issue that history and economics go together? Or sociology and economics go together? Or quantitative science, physics go with history? Now, these are the issues now that in a society, social issues are raised. In Soviet Union, erstwhile Soviet Union, a physicist was not allowed to accept Nobel Prize. He was a Nobel Prize winner already, very learned person. He was not allowed. Why? Because if it accepts it, he will be declared as enemy to the Soviet Union. His social research, his research, physical research, physics research is for the development of the country, is for the use of the country, and he was a nuclear physicist. His all research, whole time research is for the benefit, is not for the benefit, use, not for the benefit, for the use of his country. In that process, if he has done something which may become useful to the society, and for that he was to be given a Nobel Prize, it is against Soviet Union, it is against communism. So he was asked not to receive, not to accept the Nobel Prize. He could not accept the Nobel Prize, he did not go to the Nobel Prize meeting and receive that prize. So should the scientists research, or should the scientists research neutral? Will you leave your scientist research neutrally, or you say no, they have to research only on a topic which is for the benefit of the system, country, nation, nationality. There must be nationality. They must be Indian. Similarly, a social scientist, if you want to work for humanization, say you are doing something for humanization of the people who are living in a forest, and in the process you are also looking at Naxalbari issues and their problems, why people turn Naxal, why they become Naxal. There must be some social reasons. So identify the social reasons and try to rectify that. Maybe the state will declare you enemy to the nation. It's a sedition, act of sedition. So one issue is clear, that I as a teacher, I am a teacher only. I as a teacher must rise above everything in the realm of knowledge, and try to make everybody rise above in the realm of knowledge. That's why it is called in the realm of knowledge, when you rise above, ascending towards supramental consciousness. From consciousness, you become supramental consciousness. If you read this small book, Pedagogy, it says conscious, you are conscious. You are consciously unconscious. You are consciously unconscious. You are reading something, a subject, without knowing. What am I to do with that? What is the problem? How do I solve the problem with this particular knowledge? And if I cannot solve the problem, people will ridicule me. What is MA, BA, PhD? See, what is happening? You cannot solve the problem. So, summary is that design your course. How do I design the course? So I discussed about designing the course. Course designing, some of the parameters of the course designing is that I must have benchmarks. I must have multidisciplinary approach. I must have the socialization process. I must be real to society. I must look around the society. What is happening in the society? Read newspaper every day, TV, everything. What are the problems of the society? My society, where I am living. And my subject content shall be based upon that. It has theoretical aspects as well as it has experimental aspects. Society, if I am a sociologist, society is my laboratory. So I have to liberate my students to go to the society, interact with the social people, interact with them, and then have the problem identification and resolved. So all those things are, done. In our old days, I do not know whether it is still continuing or not. In science, particularly in biological science, we have to go to still there, biological science, like zoology, botany, physiology, biological science. You have to go to excursion. What does it mean? You go to Puri. Now here you have history also reading, as well as you go over there in Dal Lake and try to find out in Dal Lake what are the flora and fauna in Dal Lake. See their history, trace their history, make a classification, come back and put that into formalin and make a classification and give a presentation. I don't know whether it is still there or not. Is it there, Kapurbo? Unmute.
Unmute yourself, sir.
Is it there?
No, I don't think it is there, but I can remember in our time we were used to practice in that way. And if I am not wrong, Professor Jaspal, when he was the chairperson of UGC, he had this kind of vision. If I am not wrong, perhaps it was Professor Jaspal or somebody else, that reading history, you have to go to that place, visit that place to see that place.
I'm now coming to history. When I prepared the history course, I tell them nonsense, don't in the classroom. If you have to study this part of history, ancient history,
Yes, sir.
go to the spot. Go to the spot. Go to see what is there now. Okay? If you have to have, say, history of Kalinga War. What do you know Kalinga War? Go to the place where Kalinga War was fought and see that what are the reminiscences of there. Try to find out a bit of interest here and there. Try to make a kind of a write-up. Now this type of, big whole world is a learning of history. Now, what I said is, it is actually possible, first, that you become actually autonomous, you prepare your own course, you do not follow a textbook because you are not a bookseller. Now, I know that in Bardhaman University, when I was there at that time also, now if political science has to be studied, now this is political science. Our Vice Chancellor, Mohit Babu. Mohit and Roy, they have Amal Roy and Mohit Babu, Mohit Bhattacharya, they wrote a book on political science. Everybody used to have that. Why? Am I a bookseller? I'm a teacher. I'm not a bookseller. And you cannot do that also. Today, if you become a bookseller, then there can be a violation of copyright law and you may be charged to pay the royalty to the writer. Actually, if we take, if we violate Australian books, Australia is very particular about it. If I try to read Australian books and copy Australian books, and I copy more than 10% of the book in my university, university has to pay royalty. Fixed royalty is there. University has to pay royalty. So generally what happens, Australian books are publishers, they collect the royalty earlier. So they will sell the book to you, they will take the royalty out. And this royalty they have to pay to the authors. Now you write books, you do not get, in India, I don't know whether any author get any value for their writing books. I have at least not seen people. Now during our time, writers were there like say our economics Horashankar Bhattacharya. How much he used to collect from royalty? But everybody was teaching only Horashankar Bhattacharya. His books were purchased. So don't do that. I prepare my own syllabus. I prepare my own curriculum, day-to-day schedule. I prepare my books, and for everything I have a kind of question. Why should I learn this? Because there are in universe, there are lots of things to be learned. Lots of things. Because we are university, universe of knowledge. Lots of things have to be learned. And we know every day, each one of us we know that thing, how little. Before your days gone to know that how little you know. So from that point of view, history from this period to this period, this period to this period, this is done. It's absolute sheer nonsense. Sheer nonsense. For that, design your course and try to ask yourself always, and your students also must be very ready. They must know that they are learning this for this particular purpose. There will be many purposes. There are many purposes. If I learn, suppose most of my teachers, most of my students are attempting to appear for IAS or WBCS or this or that, then my courses design would be in one type. Teaching methodology also would be one type. Teaching learning methodology will be one type. Writing ability will be one type. But I want to be historian. So I want to, in BA, I want to learn this, and then MA go for this, then go for higher education, then go for research. Then my teaching learning from the very beginning will be different. Now all these differential criterias are to be calculated together. And then your teaching learning methodology has to be defined. Teaching learning methodology. There are many methodologies. One of the methodology here, he says that methodology that we have is called banking system of methodology, he says. Paulo Freire says. Banking system. Why? Because I know everything, my students do not know anything. So I have to open the locker. Mine means locker of the students, and put my thought there, and then lock the key. And then if I do not pass on the key, then it's gone. In the gone case. So it's a banking method. Like a Socratic method is there. Socratic, not Socrates method. Socratic method. Socratic method is a modern method. Though Socrates has designed that, but it's a modern method. Question for question. Sometimes, when I ask my legal questions, the answer I want only in question. I give a question, you give me a question. Appropriate to that question. So question and question and question and question and question would lead to innovation. So when you go to IIT Kharagpur and have a law school there for engineers, doctors, and pharmacists, IIT Kharagpur Law School is a different category. It is only for intellectual property. So obviously the teaching learning methodology will be through questions, through innovations. How do you have innovations? Question, 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 question. Right? Now, lecture method is followed by tutorial method. It's called British method or Oxford method. Oxford tutorial method is called Oxford method. Now, first the teacher go. Harvard method is that initially Harvard method was a lecture method. Then we came to case study method. That you give a collective social problem, give that, and then ask them to collect materials as much as possible from different sciences. It may be physics, it may be chemistry, it may be from anything, geophysics, geochemistry. Now, our principal sub says they have all subjects. In fact, they do not have any subject after 1935. If I say geophysics, you don't have. Okay? So subjects of modern subjects, say modern subjects. Modern subjects are like, say, artificial intelligence. We don't have. But artificial intelligence is one of the important subject for your city because you are in the city which produces largest number of railway engines. And that engine has to use only now a technology which is coupled with this artificial intelligence. But you don't have. Because you are Mufassal area, Bardhaman district, Vice Chancellor, or all those people thought, Are bhai, Chittaranjan is a Mufassal district. Give history, sociology, this, that. Okay, graduate. Now, graduate means you are engaged. You are keeping people engaged. They are not unemployed. They wanted employment. They are throwing them employment like this. But why? Why not I have those meaningful subjects? Subjects which are close to my society. Robotics, the subject. Okay? Even transport law is a subject for you. Law of carriage. Law of carriage. Management is a subject for you. Management. And then when you do the subjects, management, this, that, then you see all those subjects must coagulate, called multidisciplinary. They must mix together. They must mix together to solve a problem. You give a problem, take all knowledges together, express it in English. So English is essential. English is essential because English as a language is now Indian language. It is no longer a colonial language at all. Why? Because in India, a largest number of people are English speaking only. Not like you and me that we are bilingual, not like that. They speak only in English. Most of the people in Kerala speak only in English. Many of the Calcuttans speak only in English. The largest number of people in Delhi speak only in English. So a largest number of English-speaking people have now coagulated and reside in India. So it is an Indian language now. But we have to be multilingual. I am teaching in Chittaranjan. I must be multilingual. As a teacher, if I have to lead, I have to transcend them, my students, from this platform to that platform. I have to change the ecosystem from this ecosystem to that ecosystem. I have to be multilingual. So if you are in Kharagpur, I must know also. I must be multilingual. I must know Andhra. Okay, Telugu. I must know. Because many of my students are coming from that part of the country. So in Chittaranjan, you see that mixture of population in Chittaranjan and where from do they come. And we have to cater to their needs. Because the success story of a teacher in building the institution of thought. When I say institution, I make institution of thought. This institution of thought can be built up when people from all languages come together and can speak diverse languages as well as one language. Those who are speaking now, you see, in that part, in that part, you have a different type of language. Purulia part, a different type of language. In your part, Chittaranjan, there is a different type of Bengali language, which is Hindi, Bengali mixed, perhaps. I forgot. I used to go long back. Now, there are many other dialects. India has got 3,000 dialects. My God. And all these people must be brought together by universities, because you are universe. And therefore, our teachers must be also having the quality of a universe. That means have knowledge of multi-languages, not one. But it has to be already, I said, focused towards one thought, the global language in English. So try to, it's a kind of ascending, descending process. Now, ascending, descending process, how education shall come down to the recipient and then bring the recipient up over there to have transcendentality. This is a good exercise. Philosophers will tell you, philosophers will take that perhaps from Sri Aurobindo's Life Divine. Now, so I talk about designing the course. Designing the course first is goal. I must write down what is the goal of my lesson. Second, I must have a bird's eye view of my lessons. What do I want to learn? Learn from the point of view social problems. Society uses problems. Society doesn't use economics philosophy and it gives a problem. Price rise is a problem. So history of pricing system must be known. History of money is extremely necessary. I don't know, in India, people are not studying in history of money. Sometimes I was the advisor to the Reserve Bank governor, and I require history of money. I required that. I could not go history tracing back to the history of money. Therefore, I said multidisciplinary course has to be developed. Then, teaching learning methodology. What would be methodology? I said your methodology. Good methodology is one where you have a mixture of methodologies. Some of the mixture of methodologies, like say, inquire and learn. Inquire and learn, where you leave them to the society, like that we used to do. Go to geology people used to go to Puri and then bring those, inquire and learn from the environment. Inquire and learn. So you have a project writing. Inquire and learn, project. You have a project. Give every student a project so that they can go and inquire. They can take project relating to various aspects of industrial civilization all around Chittaranjan. So project writing. Self-learning, project writing. No, it is, who told you that there should be one examination and one examination will appear in pass and this is absolutely copying, is useless. Try to understand as a teacher that examination is not an end in itself. Knowledge is an end in itself. We are dealing with the knowledge. If I can make my students inquire about knowledge, I am successful. If I cannot, I am unsuccessful. I am absolutely not successful at all. I'm not a good teacher at all. I cannot build up the institution. So knowledge building requires a kind of evaluation. So when you become a university, you try to design your evaluation systems in such a manner that you read UGC's evaluation system. Read that. Munis Raja. Read Munis Raja. Munis Raja repeatedly said that from graduate level, you shall dispense with mugging. Our all question papers are mug and vomit and commit and vomit. This must go. Several times it has been said, I must have written several dozens of articles on that, that ours is a measurement. Information, how much of information I have passed to you. Can I measure it? Just 1 feet, 2 feet, 5, just like that. The measurement is possible. Now, Munish Raja says measurement cannot take more than 15 to 18% of your total examination. Measurement. And it should be close to the hill of the lessons. Now, we generally find there are 4 types of students in your class. I call it as a pathology of the class. A teacher learns the pathology of the class. He has to learn it by experimental process. Somebody can quickly learn and quickly forget. Somebody can learn long time, after long time. They will write burning midnight candle, but quickly forget. Somebody can learn long time, after a long time, but remembers long time. Once learn, remembers long time. Somebody can quickly learn and remembers long time. Remembers. So it is QQ, QL, LQ, LL. These are the 4 types of students in your class. You can just experiment. So you must know pathology of the class. Your teaching learning methodologies shall be based upon this, pathology of the class. So if you put one teaching learning methodology, like say lecture, it will not go to all the class together. Only those people who are QL, they will get, others will just forget. Now there was experiment. I myself experimented with that. And in IIT, we found that after a lecture, if you write the same thing, if you try to write whatever the lecturer has told you, you can write something about 50 to 60%. After a week, you can write 10 to 12%. After a month, you can write about 2 to 3%. After 6 months, semester end, how can you write in the exam? How can you take the exam? You will forget everything. You have to forget because you have not given anything else information. And information are given all the books. So your whole thing, Munish Raja says, this examination system, India examination system is absolutely a farce. Completely farce. Then measurement is through only how much information you have passed, and it has to be done on continuous process, continuous weekly test, continuous process, and that comprises only not more than 15 to 18%. Then you have self-learning process, project writing, project presentation. They will come and present their project, research. In that, you will give that perhaps 20, 22, 25%. Okay? It is called evaluation. You evaluate, measure, evaluate. Then you ask them to write for value understanding, whether it is sociologist, communist, this, that, you are trying to see nationalism, how important is nationalism. Through your paper, through physics, you understand nationalism. That type of questions are set. And you understand the ethos or the culture that your highly trained students have imbibed. That is called assessment. So 3 things comprises in your examination: measurement of information passing, then evaluation of your thought processes, development of thought processes, evaluation, and then assessment of the character. Now, one of the Chief Justice was heading the committee for value education. Read that report. There are value education in each of these science, even in physics or chemistry. There is a value education. There is a value. Nothing is valueless. Nothing is only subjective. There is objective also. As Paulo Freire says, that consciously unconscious are those who think that there is only subjectivity. Okay? Unconsciously conscious are those who are only think that is objectivity. Learning goes by combination of subjectivity and objectivity together. And that's why methodology of teaching learning is so important. Preparation of your course material is extremely important. Develop your course material. Now, in all this, whatever I said, because it's on that I can go on talking, giving you a kind of a 7 days total catalog and then exercise. That has to be exercise. I have to go and exercise some of the issues, giving to that exercise, and then now that can go on. But my time is only 1 hour, and I think Apurva has given me 1 hour time, and 1 hour time Apurva has already ended. Sharbani, I think now, according to your dictation, I must take questions. So now,
Not exactly dictation, sir, but I request our participants, in case you have any questions pertinent to Professor Anil Mitra's talk right now.
I have not touched Shravani. I have not touched. You know that I used to take your courses for 7 days, right? You remember that?
Yes, I do. I do. Yes.
And you prepared that, your syllabus. Did you prepare your syllabus, course content?
Absolutely, sir.
Absolutely. Now, why don't you start there yourself? You have learned from me, then you have make them also, make others also see how it is done.
I would definitely try to, sir.
Right.
I will definitely try to, sir.
Then only I will leave. Otherwise, tomorrow I will die. Then the whole thought goes, who now talks about Munish Raja, excepting me? So, please, discuss amongst yourself. This type of, webinar will not do anything. Webinar is not a methodology of teaching learning. Webinar itself has got virus. It is affected by virus. And we shall not think that this is enough of it. No. Unless you know the eyes of the students, the eyes of the windows of the students. Through the eyes, you have to enter into the students and bring them up. This ascending, descending process. How can I take it without example? Had I been in presence with you, I would have shown that, how I go within Apurva and try to live up with Apurva. I as a teacher. Okay? So that we become subjectively and objectively one. We become one identity. Right? Now, these things you can try, because you have got 1 or 2 lessons from me. 2 or 3 times you had been in my class, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So please do that. Now that only, that a KIIT has become now one of the first 20 of India and become the excellence, award of excellence of winner. Now KIIT, because of all these exercises. So why not you? You are becoming university in another 3, 4 years, 5 years. Do you understand? So try to build up and build up yourself now. You make your own syllabus. I will discuss with your Vice Chancellor how your teachers can be liberated. Okay, so put questions. I have only spoken 1% of what I wanted to discuss with you. First thing is there was no discussion. I only raised some issues. I have some slides. Maybe I can send slides, but it doesn't have any meaning. Question.
Professor Roy, sir.
Before you question, you must understand. You can put questions, any questions. Questions are not stupid. Questions are all wisdom. But answer may be stupid also. Answer is one-dimensional. Questions are multi-dimensional. So if my question doesn't address your issue, I may be stupid. You have to further inquire your answer. Question is important to the answer.
Now I request audience to come with questions, whatever they have. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Whatever question they have, they can come forward. I'm sure that we can get some questions from the audience. And back to that, I would like to remember my teacher, when he was my teacher teaching in our class. I can remember, sir, that laws of contract still I can remember. The offer, acceptance, consideration. These
Yeah.
three you must have to keep in mind whenever you will be studying. This just I can remember that the way you taught us. Other things are there. I can, but because of time constraints, I cannot tell all those things. Now it is up to my audience to come with their questions, please.
কোশ্চেন যদি কারো থাকে কোশ্চেন নিয়ে আসতে বলছি, আদারওয়াইজ
কই দেখতে পাচ্ছি না তো, কে কোশ্চেন করছেন তাকে একটু দেখি। সৌরভপাল, let me see. Who is putting questions?
Sir, in case nobody else is posing any questions right now, I would like the privilege of asking a question to you. It is something that we have all experienced to a certain extent all these years. Since the past 1 year and more. How do you think the institution building right now is being affected in the present pandemic situation?
Look, it is seriously affected. After all, institution means teacher, students, administrators, then facilities, then technology. You have a very partial technology, very poor technology, where more than one person cannot speak. That means bandwidth is very small. So you cannot put questions, I cannot answer, I cannot respond. We always say that WA traffic. Okay, when I go to National Law School, what do? I told you also in my class, you must have been there, and I do not know, you have gone to it. I speak maybe 20 minutes, 40 minutes of my students go on asking me questions. They are interpreting. Okay, so institution build-up doesn't mean only a building build-up. Institution is not building.
The infrastructure as
That's
well.
why I define institution is a thought philosophy. Okay, principle shape. Generally, people will come and say, "This is the principle so and so, his thought. When he was our principal, he did it. He inspired us. He used to say like this, isn't it? Like that. So it is the thought that you leave. That's called institution. So institution, instrument, and people. All those are important. Okay. So I only talked about today. My only issue was autonomy of teacher needed for building university, building institution, autonomy, which was not needed in British times. So we have affiliation. We are all made, okay? We are all made ships. We are all made cattle. So we are all affiliated, cattle. No thought was necessary to develop within ourselves. Now, this new education policy says, you shall be liberated. You have to be a university yourself. Have you read that? NEP, Principal Sir. Principal Sir. Unmute. Request the principal to unmute.
Professor Kundu, Principal Sir, could you unmute the mic, sir?
Yes, sir.
I requested you to see, you have to build up. So your job is, can you download NEP and distribute NEP to your teachers, all the teachers?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
National Education Policy 2020 available at your website.
Okay, sir.
of the ministry, download it and distribute it to everybody.
Okay, sir.
Task number 1, task number 2, task number 3. So Shravani will take one task. Anjali may take another task. Rani may take another task. So distribute the task. What are the teacher like this? Whatever teacher want to do. So when it says that your institution has to see not only the syllabus content, but also the course content has to be universalized. Course content is internationalized. It should be vocationalized. When we say vocationalization of a course, what does it mean? How do I do that? So if you ask Anjali to write about that, vocationalization of the course, because you have to perhaps prepare now. I do not know in West Bengal what is going to happen, how much time you will require to abolish this affiliation system. But if I go and meet Partha Babu, I'll certainly try to impress upon him that affiliation system, we are all equal. Okay. Sarvani is no inferior to the professor of English in the English department of the University of Nazru.
Exactly.
We are all equal. We all count. So this, you are the leader. Since you are the principal, you are the leader. Now prepare yourself, take the NEP, distribute it, take the task and formulate your policy. How do you build up in 4 or 5 years to become a university?
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Are you aware of that? The affiliation system should go?
Yes, sir.
I don't think the government is aware.
Yeah.
Nobody is aware in Calcutta that affiliation system has to go.
But here we find that the opposite process, that university is trying to impose some sorts of restrictions on the colleges regarding. Exactly.
It has to go. It is dying. If people do not understand that, we have lowered the whole system of education by the process of affiliation and imposing somebody dictates something, then there is no question of institution building. It is only sheep rearing, grazing. You have to take a lead. Now there is a
Okay, sir, I'll try my best, sir.
All the principals must now sit with the Vice Chancellor. That what are you doing about that?
Yeah.
Thank you for your valuable talk, sir. It is really a wonderful time that we had. Professor Roy, could you please offer our gratitude and our thanks to Professor Mitro and introduce our next speaker, sir. Sir, unmute yourself, sir.
I hope I express my sincere gratitude to sir, and I hope that we'll have some more opportunities of interaction with him, and he will find time to talk before us. And the way he provoked us, and I believe that it will definitely add value to our system. And the particular thing that he has said, that autonomy, paradigm shift connected with reality, integrating education with learning with life, and the knowledge building instead of building, and learning for integrating our system with reality. That will definitely add value to the whole system, and we'll definitely try to inculcate that in our system. And we hope that we'll find time in future to talk for us. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And we have enjoyed a lot. After a long time. I have that opportunity. I have enjoyed it extremely. I have enjoyed it. Definitely, I express my thanks to you. And I hope you will come before us. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Shaboni?
Professor, it is our sincerest gratitude that we express for Professor NL Mitro, and I would now request Professor Roy, who is the chair of today's sessions, to introduce our next speaker, Professor Dr. Shoma Bandyopadhyay. Thank you.
Our second session is with Professor Shoma Bandyopadhyay. Professor Bandyopadhyay thank you. Professor Bandyopadhyay, present Vice Chancellor of West Bengal University of Teachers Training, Education Planning and Administration, with additional responsibility as the Vice Chancellor of Sanskrit College and University of Calcutta. He has been the Director of Indian Institute of Social Welfare and Business Management, Kolkata, and also Director of Women's Studies Research Center, University of Kolkata as well. He has served Calcutta University as a registrar, and Professor Bandyopadhyay has Sahitya Academy Award winner, besides a lot of publications and research experience as well. Now I request Professor Bandyopadhyay to deliver his lecture before us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Respected Principal, Deshbandhu Mahavidyalaya, Dr. Tridip Kundu, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Apurva Kumar Roy, distinguished speakers, members of my academic fraternity, and my dear students, if present any, a very good afternoon to all of you. Firstly, I would like to congratulate the organizers of this lecture series for zeroing in on such an important and relevant topic as the role of teachers in institution building. I just happened to listen to, the last part of Professor M.N. Rai's lecture, and I really want to thank him for his thought-provoking talk. I would like to speak on this institution building, a prime responsibility of teachers working in higher education sector. To begin with, I would like to quote Benjamin Disraeli, that is, individuals may form communities, but it is institutions alone that can create a nation. And the teachers play the most vital role in building this nation, rather institutions, because teachers are the future builders of our country. They are the providers of knowledge and wisdom. They're the basic source of education for most of the people of this country. And they are the ones who build the future of the nation. They can very easily decide what they want the nation to look like and educate the masses accordingly. They have the ability and the strength to fight the odds and make India a powerful and a well-educated country. A nation is built by its citizens. Citizens are molded by teachers, and teachers are made by teacher educators. Now, Chanakya has rightly stated that teacher is the maker of nation. So for the development of a country, it is very important to have good teachers, and good teachers can be produced only if we have a good system of teacher education and dedicated and efficient teacher educators. The teacher can be rightly called a nation builder. They, through their perseverance, love, and sacrifices, have shown us the right path in which great men have built our nation. It is our dear teachers who mold our character, our personality, and show us the right direction which leads us to our final destination. He or she is the one who inculcates true values in his or her students. So that is why we call teaching as the noblest profession in the world. So no other personality can have an influence more profound than that of a teacher. Students are deeply affected by a teacher's love and affection, his character, his competence, and his moral commitment. A popular teacher becomes a model for his or her students. The students try to follow their teacher in his manners, customs, etiquette, style of conversation, and his get-up. He or she becomes their ideal. He can lead them anywhere. And during our early education, even we tend to determine our aims in life and our future plans in consultation with our teachers. So the teachers play extremely crucial role in shaping the young minds during their formative years, starting from pre-primary to secondary school. And yet most societies in the world, unfortunately, do not position school teachers at a level that they deserve in laying foundation to the future society. Under positioning of the role of school teachers especially leads to sometimes lower motivation of culminating into reduced level of passion or commitment. Teachers have a vital role in nation building because the future is totally in their hands. They choose to be the fortune builders of a country. And if you really want to know how important they are, I don't think I need to tell you that, because we are all teachers, even myself. Although I am presently a vice chancellor in the role of an administrator in a teacher education university, but still we know that we, the teachers, are basically play the most vital role in building our nation and in building our institutions. Now, teaching as a profession is probably the most challenging one also, because it combines all the other professions in order to help a child grow. One has to have good communication skills, managerial skills, reading and writing skills, storytelling skills, and whatnot, everything almost. The teachers have selflessly and courageously chosen the path where they will always be working for the mankind and for its good. Not everybody has the heart to do it. The leaders of today are getting the leaders of tomorrow. So I'm sure that, like me, you all believe that even the worst student in the class is capable of doing something very good. He might not be a very good student, maybe not good in his studies, or maybe not doing wonderfully well in his exams, but he might be a very good musician or an artist or a painter in future. So we should always remember that being a good teacher doesn't mean merely to complete one syllabus, but to motivate and bring out the best in each of the student. If you are aware of the philosophy of our great educationists like Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore or Swami Vivekananda, you'll be knowing that I'm not telling you anything very new. Now, let us say that how institution building becomes a prime responsibility of teachers working in the higher education sector. Development of educational institutions is of great significance in the present Indian context, where the economy is preparing to have a takeoff to a higher destiny. Higher education can play a vital role in this respect. So the development of quality institutions in the higher education sector in the country is a very pertinent issue. As rightly remarked by our UGC, in the year 2012, higher education is a very important sector for the growth and development of human resources, which can take responsibility for social, economic, and scientific development of the country. As the destiny of the country is being shaped in the classrooms, the nation building process takes its form and momentum in the institution itself. Institution building, as I said earlier, is nation building. Hence, to build a developed nation, the focus must be on the creation and development of quality institutions, because only institutions create country, and that too good institutions. As higher education institutions are contributing directly to the economic, social, political, upliftment of the society, building quality higher education institutions is fundamental to the development of the nation. It is not only the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, but the enrollment of students in institution providing quality higher education that matters. Now, the allocation of funds and pooling of appropriate resources for the development of the educational institutions is the responsibility of the government and other government agencies. But developing the same into a quality institution is the responsibility of and to be performed by the academic fraternity working in one institution. The institution building is process, which is a continuous process rather, which is to be performed with a vision, and it must bring long-lasting results. So what is this? What should be the role of a teacher in building a quality institution? The quality of institution matters for the growth and development of a country, as I said earlier also. The abiding purpose of any institution is to unravel remarkable possibilities of contributing through a collective process, which is the bedrock of its existence. An institution must endeavor to build the dream of its collective future on the history of its rich past, a vision to excel without losing out on that which is essential and definitive. Now, a key issue is how one builds better institutions. The quest of an institution must be to do exceptional things, to realize one's visions, but even more importantly, say committed to doing ordinary things exceptionally well. What are these ordinary things? Often people, the teachers think that actually the duty of the teacher is to finish his syllabus. But outside that, I'm sure that most of the good teachers, what do? They motivate their students to do something, beyond, studying and finishing their syllabus. So what I was saying is that the institutions, must be willing to refresh themselves, even the teachers, and welcome the changes to endure and retain relevance into the future. To stay relevant and prepare the institution for the future, that beckons is the leader's role. Here the teachers want to become good leaders. The teachers have to provide an academic leadership to the co-workers, even to his fellow teachers and the students, and to the institution itself. Whenever possible, the teacher has to make a partnership with the researchers, the industry, and the policymakers. It will facilitate the development of the institution. In order to facilitate quality institution building process, every teacher must have a vision and a mission of his or her own, in addition to the institutional vision and mission, which must be complementary to and contributing to the development of the institution. Teachers are the functionaries who preserve, redesign, and transmit the organizational culture among his or her students, who are the key to the future of the nation. Development of innovative schemes of collaboration between institutions of higher education and different sectors of society ensure that higher education and research programs effectively contribute to local, regional, and national development. They are expected to maintain functional relationship with other development agencies in the society and has to contribute to their development and thereby ensure the reciprocal contribution from such agencies to the institutions. Hence, the teachers have a crucial and a far-reaching role to play in the process of institution building. And now, what is the role of the heads of these institutions in the making of institution? The head of the institution has a greater role to perform in the process of institution building leadership of an institution is not just a duty, but an obligation that is to be discharged with utmost care and very crystal clear vision. The vision and commitment of the head of the institution can contribute to a greater extent in the process of institution building. To facilitate the development of a quality institution and a unique institutional culture, the head must take a leading and a definite role. He should have that personality, he or she should have that personality so that he can easily influence his colleagues. Peter and Waterman, in their recent research on excellent organizations, focus on the role of leadership in institution building. They emphasize the role of leadership in shaping the values of organizational members, as well as in developing distinct organizational culture. To be isolated, an institution cannot develop. What is required is the functional relationship with different agencies in the society. Sustainability and quality of the functional relationship with the other functionaries in the society depends on their commitment, vision, and the missionary works performed by the head of the institution, which is to be productive and reciprocal in nature. Then only his faculty members, the other employees, they will be able to follow. The lead of the institution is responsible for developing a team spirit and creating a synergy among the colleagues, which is very essential for the development of quality educational institution. Now, in order to facilitate such developments, the head of the institution must also be very fair, very transparent, and democratic in her or his dealings, practical justice in the institution, and treat every member of his institution with equality, and must promote the development of each and every individual in the institution. Without promoting and facilitating the development of the individuals in the institution, she cannot, or he or she cannot contribute to the development of the institution. Now, studies have shown that favoritism and partiality from the part of the head of the institution are the major hurdles which actually come across in the developmental process and contribute negatively in the institutional culture. The head of the institution must be a model for all the members of the teaching and non-teaching staff, students community, and even to the members of the larger society where the institution is working. She or he must be a true leader in true sense to the institution and the different stakeholders of the institution. And institution building, if you take it as a strategy for professional development, so one of the main factors that contribute to the development of teachers working in higher education sector, especially in the universities and other education sectors, in the institution in which they are working, so the teachers have to contribute to the development of that institution. Analysis of the history of leading institutions show that these institutions are developed not because of the superior infrastructure facilities in the initial stage, but such institutions are developed because of the vision and commitment of the teachers who took pain and strain for the survival of the institution in their developmental stages. Later, these institutions contributed to the generation of quality human resource to the society. Hence, the teachers working in the higher education sector have to work for building and developing the institution in a quality institution. It is very essential because the institutions in the higher education sector in the country have to go much longer in the nation building process. The teacher has to use his vision, building the institution for serving the future. While working for and engaging in the institution building process, professional development will follow the teachers. Hence, the institution building is a strategy for the professional development of the teachers working in the higher education sector. No other strategies will contribute to the professional development of teacher to a higher extent. Now, another important point is planning strategies for building quality higher education institutions. So what are those strategies? The first thing that I would like to highlight is the facilitating learner transformation. The primary duty of any education institution is the facilitation of the development and transformation in the learners and thereby contributes to the development of the society. For facilitating learner transformation, the teachers working in the higher education institutions have to make the teaching learning process competence-based, value-oriented, and need-based. Just as Professor M.N. Mitra was also saying, transformation, the learner should result in the satisfaction of the regional, national, and global requirements. Ensuring learner transformation will contribute to the institutional building. Secondly, one has to clearly spell out what is their institutional vision and mission. That should be very clear. The vision and mission of the institution has to be made clear to all the people in the organization, that is to all the stakeholders. The performance of the institution has to be reviewed periodically on the basis of the vision and mission, and required orientations and reorientations have to be provided to the people in the organization. Clarity of the vision and mission and their appropriate orientation will contribute much to the process of institution building. Secondly, thirdly, developing an attitude of acceptance. This is very important. The world is dynamic. Lot of innovative concepts and practices are originating in the world. Education is not an exception. Now, changes are taking place in the philosophy and practice of education. And also in the near future, it will take place. So what to be done? There must be an attitude of acceptance from the part of the teachers towards such changing philosophy and practices. Defensive to change will work as a hindrance to quality institution building. The teachers, as the key player in the higher education institution, must develop an open and accepting attitude in order to facilitate institution building. Again, production and sharing of knowledge is another strategy. That is one of the essential focuses. The higher level of learning must be characterized by the production of knowledge. Teachers have to facilitate and give a leadership to the production of knowledge by the institution. The teachers and the students have to engage in research, and that too qualitative research, and contribute to the creation and dissemination of knowledge. Then only an institution can satisfy the regional and global requirements. The production and sharing knowledge and thereby playing the key role in the society will enhance the reputation of the institution. And of course, we should remember that research doesn't mean only copy-paste. They have to, the teachers as well as the students, especially the researchers, have to keep away from, plagiarism. Now, creating connectivity with other systems in the society is another important point. The higher education institution must develop a good connectivity with the other functionaries in the society, especially the universities which deal with technology or other professional courses. For the facilitation of the development of quality institution building, there's a high demand for continuous interaction with other social institutions and stakeholders like researchers, policymakers, sociologists, government and non-governmental agencies, etc. The teachers working in a higher education institution must ensure this connectivity and making it functional. Now, another very essential strategy is to develop effective and functional industry-academia partnership. This is a must. The higher education institution should develop effective and functional industry-academia partnership, which are need-based and reciprocal in nature. Institutions should satisfy the divergent needs of the industries by providing quality human resources, technologies, know-how, etc., and has to carry out researches for the same. In return, the industries also have to provide the resources required for the development of the institution. Developing functional and effective industry academia partnership will contribute a lot in the process of institution building. And then effective pooling and utilization of resources. What is this pooling and utilization resources? Teachers working in a higher education sector, that is a college or university level, have to ensure the pooling of adequate resources from all possible sources and the effective utilization of the same for carrying out different requirements. Like for the development of the institution, the teachers has to collectively pool the required resources from different agencies using the institutional and personal expertises, and has to play their role in the effective utilization of the same to achieve the institutional vision. Now, an institution must constantly evolve to sustain itself. It is the role of a leader, that is the head of the institution, to enable the collective responsibility and empower the institution to imagine that it would be for the future generations and lead the changes that refreshes the institution and uphold its relevance for the decades ahead. Good governance needs to be the central pillar of the vision a leader articulates for the institution, as it serves as the bedrock that instills a high degree of professionalization, fortifies credibility, and helps strengthen the institutionalization process. The leader of an institution is the trustee, actually, for the current and also for the future generations. Now, the quest of the leader could encompass the need to enable a virtuous circle of strategy to execution, where one good thing leads to, again, another. The commitment to function as a trustee with openness and transparency while driving desired outcomes to grow and consolidate will enable the organization to be an institution that endures beyond one's own tenure. The way forward would be governed by a shared vision, strong focus on execution, measurable outcomes, accountability, and transparency, paving the way in creating sustained institution building and enhanced quality. Now, presently, we are all going through a very rough phase, facing an unprecedented situation, that is the COVID situation caused by, which has affected the whole education sector in various ways. But even in this difficult hour, my dear colleagues, I want you to be known for your research that stimulates economic growth, for creative work that enrich our culture, for scholarship that enhances human understanding and promotes sustainability, and as a home for civil discourse, one all sorts of challenging issues. But I would also request you not to lose sight of those personal moments where interaction with a student or your colleague or your superior can change or even save individual lives. You should never miss that human touch which can heal the other's pain. So, before I stop, I would like to thank respected Principal, Sir, and Coordinator, Sir, Dr. Apurva Kumar Rai, for inviting me to deliver this talk. I would also like to thank my dear audience for giving me such a patient hearing. And now let me finish with my very, favorite lines, which I always quote before ending, before finishing my talk. That is, a dream doesn't become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. And hard work beats talent. Hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. Charuibati, Charuibati. Thank you all. Please take care and stay safe. Very safe. I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Ma'am, it was a wonderful lecture, to say the least. It was not a lecture. It was as if you held our hands and made us feel better in such trying times. And with Dr. Bandyopadhyay's engrossing take on the themes which are very germane to our webinar's concern. And not only that, but also the methodical way in which she addressed how each one of us, of each designation, can contribute towards institution building, and how institution building is not exactly something which is absolutely tangible, but it is something which goes on as we hold hands all together and walk to make this world a much better place. Choroiditi, that is the best thing that could really happen to us right now. Thank you, ma'am. And now that we have reached the end of the academic sessions for the first day of our 3-day webinar, our gratitude and heartfelt applause to all our speakers for their depth of understanding and sparkling presentations on the ideas of how faculties and the educators scaffold the institution, and how the teachers especially can go on in building this world, the institution, the biggest institution that is possible, in a much better place. So for the next 10 minutes or so, we would relay the questions which our audience and the participants wish to ask our eminent speakers, and request the resource person to address them. So
I'm very sorry to interrupt Shravani, Madam Shravani. First of all, let me thank you very much for your patient hearing, because I think I spoke for near about 35 to 40 minutes, right?
40 minutes of sheer pleasure, ma'am.
Yeah, but you know, I also wanted to talk on several other issues. Maybe someday again I will face all of you. But right at the moment, I'm very sorry. I really wish to stay a long period with you all and wanted to take a few questions. But from 5 onwards, you know, I have to be there in because I'm their executive council member. So I'm very sorry. I wish I could have been there, but maybe next time I definitely I'll be there.
Certainly, ma'am.
Thank you. But yes, of course, if you have any question, you can just send to me. Dr. Roy is there, IQAC coordinator, sir. I would request if you could just message me the questions. Maybe I can just send you my answers, my replies through WhatsApp.
We would definitely do that, ma'am. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for giving us such a splendid time. And thanks for being the inspiration to all of us. Thank you.
And I really enjoyed it. Thank you very, very much, Principal Sir, Dr. Roy Sir, and Shravani Madam, and all my best wishes. Thank you. It was really a pleasure to be amongst you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
I'll take your leave, sir.
Sure.
Take your leave.
I have some observation which I'll share with you, in particular
please, sir.
We have focused on the idea of trusteeship of the college, and how important is it the head of the department as a trustee of the college. He should have a vision and mission to take the institute in its next step, and how to.
Some sort of disturbance. I can't hear you, sir.
Anyway, I will talk to you at some other time. I'll talk to you.
Couldn't hear you, sir. Very sorry. Maybe there is some kind of disturbance.
Ma'am, I guess what Professor Roy is trying to say is that he is, encountering some technical disturbance. So he will get back to you, and we will collect all the questions and all the observations, and we will get in touch with you.
Please, I'll be very happy to answer them. Please.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Okay.
You too, ma'am. Yeah. And with this, we come to an end of the first day of the 3-day webinar on role of teachers in institution building, organized by IQAC Deshobandhu Mahavidyalaya Chittaranjan. Our apologies for the initial technical hiccups, which was difficult for a lot of our participants, and we promise that tomorrow onwards things will be much better. So I'm really grateful for all the speakers, for all the participants who had to encounter technical difficulties, and we promise that it won't happen tomorrow anymore. So we will reconvene tomorrow at 2 p.m. for Professor Shoroshi Mohanda and Professor Tuhin Kumar Samanto's sessions. Thank you and goodbye. And as Professor Bandyopadhyay said, stay safe and stay well. Thank you. This is it for